Released on January 18th, 1980, Metamatic sees former Ultravox frontman John Foxx kick off his exceptionally productive solo career. While perhaps lesser known here in the States, it's a groundbreaking work of electronic pop and a true classic record. Produced by John Foxx and engineered by Gareth Jones, it's Metamatic, tonight on Sounds Pretty Grim. John Foxx's Metamatic may seem like an unusual choice for Sounds Pretty Grim, given the types of records I've talked about thus far. But by many metrics, this might be one of the darker albums I've covered on the show. While it's not focused on death or violence or gloom, and doesn't sound like the soundtrack to some kind of eldritch nightmare, the emotions and moods are often cold, distant, isolated. Futuristic with a sense of sad nostalgia. Foxx's early albums are often compared to Gary Newman, who cited Foxx's work with Ultravox, specifically 1978's Systems of Romance, as a major influence. Though Metamatic is, if you could believe it, even more stark. Newman's sound on 1979's The Pleasure Principle, released 4 months before Metamatic, sounded more organic. A rock album with live drums and bass, but unconventionally features no guitars. Instead, it's the otherworldly sound of synthesizers. Fresh, every bit as expressive, with timbres limited only by the player's creativity. Metamatic's instrumentation, on the other hand, is almost entirely electronic, aside from electric bass guitar in a couple of tracks, and of course, Foxx's ethereal vocals.
Here's an angle, she's a tangent. There's some flowers on the bathroom floor. Here's a click track, now she makes a flashback. Here's a liquid. Here's a laugh, she's a graph. He wears a sticky white shirt and tie. In those viscose clothes, his watch and glows. He's a liquid.
Metamatic spent 7 weeks on the UK record charts, peaking at number 18, though it may have been a bit too out there, or just not marketable enough, or too distinctly European in its lyrical imagery and sounds to make an impression on this side of the Atlantic. I had very little familiarity with Foxx outside of having heard the name Ultravox a couple of times. My introduction was stumbling upon an article about Metamatic from a turn-of-the-millennium issue of a British magazine that I used to religiously read. It was either Future Music or Computer Music, one of those invaluable magazines that came with a CD-ROM with free software synths and loops and sound samples, much further ahead of the music tech curve than its American counterparts. I can't find the article now, it's lost to time, I suppose, but I vividly remember the full-page photo of Foxx framed with glowing fluorescent tubes, as well as a glowing review of the album's haunting synthetic soundscapes, J.G. Ballard-inspired lyrics, far-reaching influence, and I wondered how the hell I hadn't heard of this guy yet. As previously mentioned, the instrumentation is almost entirely synths and drum machine. There's some bass guitar here and there, credited to Jig Durant, but mostly it's sparse. A Roland CR78 drum machine, synth bass, and synthetic strings, and/or some type of synth lead. Some simple modulation effects give this sense of constant and endless motion. This is instantly noticeable on the opening track's hi-hat, or on Underpass's atonal synth noise track, or the slow, sweeping filter from No One's Driving's synth sequence. The relatively limited sonic palette ensures that these tracks are never overstuffed, nothing's lost in unnecessary layers of sound, and the focus remains on what's important, the songs. Foxx himself confesses that prior to its release, he was worried it was perhaps too stripped down. I would certainly agree that minimalist is an apt description, but that's hardly a pejorative. This limited palette gives Metamatic its own strong and unmistakable identity. But it's Foxx's vocals that stand out the most, dramatic, sometimes robotic, yet never lacking humanity and pathos.
Seems like you were lit inside. I feel like fog beside the shine.
The iconic cover art portrays a smartly dressed Fox guardedly reaching towards a glowing screen or portal, man making tenuous contact with an electronic world. Fox is an accomplished graphic artist and photographer, focusing on his craft during his decade-plus-long sabbatical from releasing music. I have a sneaking suspicion that some Sounds Pretty Grim viewers might be somewhat familiar with Fox's visual artwork as seen on Porcupine Tree's year 2000 album, Lightbulb Sun. Metamatic recently celebrated its 45th anniversary with a lovely vinyl reissue. And I suppose, in a sign of the times, the compact disc is now the rare, hard-to-find format. The cosmic ballet goes on. Now, John Foxx is a prolific artist, to say the least, and is still doing stuff today. In fact, as I was making this video, I realized that I somehow missed a couple of recent releases, and I had some catching up to do. A full deep dive into the John Foxx discography would be well beyond the scope of this episode, but I'm gonna highlight a couple of my favorites. Metamatic's follow-up, 1981's The Garden, brings in more organic-sounding instruments. The album kicks off with piano and acoustic guitar in the excellent Europe After the Rain, though the electronic and synth foundation is still very strong. In addition to the moody and gorgeously atmospheric title track, one of my favorites from Foxx, this album has much more boisterous energy to it. Systems of Romance, Dancing Like a Gun, You Were There, Walk Away. While they're not exactly upbeat, they're quite a bit more danceable than Metamatic's material.
Your dress is shimmering, your voice is hiding things when you say I've hardly changed in Europe after the rain, when the nights are warm and the summer sways.
Two more 1980s albums, 1983's The Golden Section and 1985's In Mysterious Ways, really up the ante with regards to Foxx's songwriting and vocal performance. Fantastic stuff here, although it's more traditionally rock pop in its instrumentation and doesn't quite have the same impact as the more radical and exotic earlier, more purely electronic works. Foxx then took a long break from music until 1997's Shifting City, the first of several collaborations with British electronic musician Louis Gordon. This one's right up there with Metamatic and The Garden, in my opinion, fusing the stark futurism of Metamatic with a good bit of 60s psychedelica influence. Foxx hasn't let up since with numerous solo albums and collaborations, from ambient vocal works like Cathedral Oceans to haunting piano works with Harold Budd, and a return to electropop with John Foxx and the Maths, up to his current release, 2025's Wherever You Are. Metamatic hasn't really aged at all because in a way it can't, as though it's from a parallel timeline, the future of an alternate past, only tangentially intersecting with its pop contemporaries. Nothing quite sounds like it, and it sounds wicked good.
Well, I used to remember, now it's all gone. World War something, we were somebody's sons.
Next time on Sounds Pretty Grim, it's the very first Patron's Choice episode as chosen by the Sounds Pretty Grim Patreon members. It was a decisive victory for the irrepressible Devin Townsend. We'll be giving 2001's Terria a thorough spin. That's next time on Sounds Pretty Grim.